Come on.
Oh my goodness. No, that's a good point. If we invest in stocks, we become dangerous as citizens because we start knowing stuff.
So
yeah, it's not like you're ever gonna have any real
but you know, Amit, as soon as you join the billionaire class, like your life changes so much you don't notice it, but it slowly just goes away from those people that we grew up with that are still struggling and poor and can't. I'm telling you, you just move away from those people. And I think me and Carlos talk about it, that the richer we get, the more we invest, the further we get from our old friends who didn't do any of that.
Yeah,
right.
Like
we
that was actually
them.
That was actually a question. I didn't learn about the stock market. I learned a little bit about it through movies because you would hear these guys making all this money in the stock market, right? But then it was like my aunt who sat me down when I started making money for the first time. I was around the same age, around 21. She's like, you're starting to make money now. I made a shit ton of money in Home Depot and GE and all these companies from the 70s and 80s. This is the way that you make money, and this is the way you'll be able to buy a home. She really beat that into me. And then my friend Phil, who was saying the same thing at the same time. I wanted to ask this question to the chat. How many people here, like we've got 433 people. I would guess that the reason we have these people is because they don't have people in their real life to talk to this shit about. It's like Vitaly's point.
At 10 p.m.
Yeah, well, at 10, just in general. Like, I find that I'm one of the few people in my own circle of friends that's actually interested in investing. Not only do they not care, but they'll actually look down on you because they feel like you think you're better than them. Because it's so stock market.
That's because I am better than them. Fuck that. I'll just be honest.
He's like, I got 6,000 followers.
I'm fucking better than
I got 6,000 followers, bitch. How many you got?
I don't give a shit how many followers. No, if I'm taking charge of my life and it's provided me and my family some level of comfort, congratulations to me. Fuck you to you. Like, sorry, you're a hater. That's it. But my point is,
when I
don't
say
want
that shit, I don't want. This guy says the same thing.
But I don't want my haters to fuck. But I don't want my.
It's the Middle Eastern accent. It's that.
Go ahead, Chris. Finish.
First of all, Carlos, India is not in the Middle East. Okay, it's in South Asia. You guys, you posted that on Twitter. Yeah, and you were like it was so funny, dude.
I know. You posted that on Twitter. You did. Oh my god.
I know, but you know what? I don't care.
Like, I don't. My uncle's not an oil sheik.
I don't care. You're all Middle Eastern, bro. You're all fucking
Chris, it's so hard to reach. By the way, normal people. And by the way, I do segregate in terms of like the community that's right now talking. They are totally different than the people out there, the 99 percenters. Okay, because they don't go at night and learn about investing.
100%. The 433 people here actually give a fuck about.
They're totally different. Right. So you guys are not the same, even though you're,
you guys are better than your friends who don't give a fuck.
But my point is simply that they're the only ones like of their group. They have other friends, they have colleagues, they have people they grew up with, like all your friends on Facebook. Are any of them in the stock market?
And I think that was Chris' point about 99% of people don't care about the markets. Yeah, Vitaly, go ahead. Finish.
No, so I talked to a lot of, obviously I work with all sorts of different hierarchies of people, producers, production assistants, different levels of income and all this. And like, I talk to stocks about everybody. I'm not shy about that. Hey, you should be doing this kind of investing, because I'm just trying to help pay it forward a bit. But the amount of people who actually want to hear it and listen is like almost zero. Okay.
Zilch.
It's like nothing. And, even family members, like I'm like talking to my cousin is impossible about money, because all he keeps telling me is how he has no money and he has too many kids and he has this and this and that. And I'm like, dude, we were in the same position. We grew up in the exact same neighborhood. Okay. Same family circumstances. Nothing was different about me and you in terms of growing up. The difference is you just didn't take this seriously. That's it.
So when did the mindset change for you, Vitaly, to care about?
Oh, no. I started reading at 17 in terms of investing, not the stock market, but just
that was like the Think and Grow Rich, all that type of philosophy stuff, right?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all those books.
I think that's a good point, because in 2018, I went through a phase of about 20 books, like the typical self-help, money, bullshit stuff, like the stuff that I think is necessary, and then you move on from it. Did you guys have that phase where you had a summer where you just like turned into like, oh, I'm going to take control of my finances?
Yes.
Because it happened to me.
And then it takes 10 years. After that,
it does because if you get lucky when you first come out of the gate and you buy a stock and then it goes up 15-20%, you start to think it's easy and you can be guilty of your own success, and you find yourself for years just chasing that. It takes a long time to realize that it's a long-term thing. It's very similar to like anyone that's ever picked up an instrument, right? You try to pick up guitar, you're going to learn some things very quickly, but then you're going to hear a master and you're going to be like, oh shit, like I'm nothing. and you start to learn that there's levels to it, and investing's the same way.
This is my common discussion with almost everybody, but I'll bring up my cousin because I talk to him more or less. Even
if you're watching, I know the guy.
He's not watching this. Don't worry.
No, he is not watching this.
Doesn't give a shit.
He's not watching this right now. Finance junkie.
He's not watching this. No. So I'm like, even when like the stocks are down, like Enphase or whatever I'm into, I'm like, all right, you should just throw some. I do it like as a simple message, like, hey, bro, like you should just like throw some money into this and forget about it. And then just like a barrage of statements of like, yo, you don't know my expenses. I got kids, this and this and that. I'm like, okay, well, I tried. Thank you.
in 2020, when Bitcoin was like at $3,000. And it was rising up, and I watched it go from like March to what was it? It was like 8,000 in June. And I'm looking at every freaking chart imaginable. I cannot tell you how obsessed I was with crypto in 2020. Right? I don't know if we didn't have a Discord back then, but it was nothing but crypto purchases, and I was screaming at everyone. And I'm telling you, it was like uncomfortable. Like I would say, don't say something. And I would hear it coming out of my mouth with someone I just met. Like, I'm like, don't mention Bitcoin. And I'm like, someone would mention something, and I'd be like, they would say like, I don't know.
Did you mention it to a girl on a date at that time?
No. Well, actually, no. I did talk to an ex, and I told her to buy some crypto. But like literally, someone would say, turn the volume up. I'd be like, up? You know what else is going up? Bitcoin. If you buy right now, like I was like you with Palantir, and like I told so many people. There's like I'd say maybe 20 people. 3 of them bought out of 20. The rest of them, like some of them don't even want to talk about it anymore. But nobody listened. Nobody wants to listen because their thing is, what if it goes down? There's nothing you can tell people if they come at you with what if it goes down, or like Vitaly said, I have no money, I've got other expenses, I've got whatever. And I'm like, well, what else are you going to use those current dollars that you have today to work for you in the future? If you're not buying, let's say real estate, if you're not buying that, how are you going to make this money work for you in the future?
It's a short-term mindset, because like if you ask those same folks, and everybody can ask their own, I'm sure they have similar stories. Ask what's going to happen in 10 years from now? Like, where are you going to be like 20 years from now? Those folks don't think about that. They just don't.
They also don't want to.
Well,
it's
yeah,
scary.
I mean,
it's such a fact,
scary.
bro.
It's scary.
They think about tomorrow, of course.
Yeah,
next week they're going to a club or whatever's happening, or they're going to a birthday or something. But they just don't want to think.
They think happy hour can make them happy. And it's
it's like, but what happens to you that you're living in this apartment, you have 3 kids, you're not thinking about your future or theirs, by the way, at the same time. That's what's even worse, because like you're not thinking about processing what's happening to them, what they're seeing and how they're growing up. That's how we're in this vicious cycle, right? Someone at some point has to break the cycle and say, hey, let me think about this. Let me think about what happens when I'm 65 years old. Can I afford my lifestyle? That's what always scared me, and scared nobody else around me when I was 17. But I was terrified ever since I was 17. What's going to happen when I'm 65? I don't want to be like a trudging along,
I told one person, like,
let's get Chris real quick. Let's get Chris then Carlos. Go ahead, Chris.
I'll just say, I look at classical history as a good example of like different things that you could learn. And one of the things is, if you look at like societal classes in the Roman Republic, that'll give you an idea of what like the US is really like. We're a republic at the end of the day, but you have 2 classes of people. You have the patricians, and then you have the plebeians, right? So patricians were like the ones that owned everything, and the plebeians, which were like the ones that basically were citizens of Rome, but just kind of like were there to survive. And then you had the slave class, which we can just call the illegal immigrant class in the US, and basically they toil and they're pretty much there to serve, right? That is where we have a class hierarchy in the United States. The thing is, though, we don't want a situation where the patrician, the plebeians and the slave classes end up in a place where they feel that they are being so marginalized that they have no future and that they can't even dream of a tomorrow. Imagine right now, you just said, oh, all they care about is tomorrow. Imagine these people not even having enough for tomorrow. That's when they fucking rise up and they start to go after people like us. And what I mean by that is they go after things that we care about, like capital gains taxes. Do we want an 80% capital gains tax? Because as a stock investor, I don't want that. But these people would love that shit, right? No, we don't want the Warren Buffett's, not the Warren Buffett, the Warren fucking Elizabeth Warrens of the world, or the fucking Bernie Sanders of the world that says any success that comes beyond like a small measure needs to be taxed needs to be taxed to the
At
point where
90%,
there should be no millionaires or there should be no billion, all that shit. We don't want that, right? So that means that we have to make sure that we're creating an equitable situation where they get to dream about tomorrow and we get to dream about fucking 10 years from now.
Yeah, but Chris, you see the groundwork for where that uprising would go is already being laid. It's about UBI and it's about taxing the billionaires. I've gotten into so many arguments with people on Twitter for this very thing, where they say tax, like Elon Musk or Walmart didn't pay any taxes. And it's like, you only pay taxes on income, not wealth. This is such a clean distinction for
people
anyone
don't understand what wealth is.
They don't understand that you can have money or have wealth and your wealth can increase without making, and I frequently make the argument about your home. I was like, what you're saying is that every year, if your house goes up in value, if it goes up 50, like in COVID, my house doubled, I would be on the hook for, whatever, $500,000 worth of taxes on that money. Who would ever own a home? It would.
What's funny, wasn't that we talked to LG? I think in Sweden they do charge wealth tax. Is that right?
I don't know.
They tried it in certain European countries, but it fucking failed massively. It failed massively.
I thought it was in Sweden.
How did they calculate it? How do you calculate taxes on someone's
They
wealth?
look at the value of your portfolio, whatever it is, like your stocks, your real estate.
Right.
You can get a value for it, the market value.
Okay.
And then you can tax someone on it.
Okay. So let me say this. Vitaly, you've got 10 grand in the bank to cover
all my money's hidden in Bitcoin somewhere in the different islands.
Okay, but the money that we know about, you have 10 grand in the bank right now, and you're working, you make, say, whatever, 3 grand a week. That's and you have $1 million in a stock portfolio somewhere, right? Yep. And in the next year, the market doubles. Like you were all in on Palantir and it fucking doubled, right? So
right.
now you've got
$2
million. Now you have $2 million, okay? You still only have 10 grand in the bank, but you have $2 million on paper. Now the government says you need to pay taxes on that $1 million. Let's just say that the tax rate's 50%. So now you owe the government $500,000.
You have to sell some of your stock. Yeah.
So now you sell the stock
economies. It's going to fuck companies.
Now you sell $500,000 worth of Palantir. You give it to the government. And then that year when you fill out your taxes, they're like, well, wait a minute. You sold $500,000 of a stock at a gain. You owe us capital gains.
Well, no, I think when they do
500,000.
I'm not sure
where does that money come from?
Yeah, it's ridiculous what you're saying, of course. Meaning if it happens, it's ridiculous. But I think if they do a wealth tax, and you have to sell to pay it off, there's got to be a provision.
There's already a wealth tax that we never speak about, but it's there.
Is it death?
Property taxes.
No.
Yeah, property taxes.
That's what it is.
The price of your home goes up, you have to pay more, which makes no fucking sense technically, because it's like, I'm not getting any richer personally. It's just my home seems to be in a location that's
I'm
desirable.
Not getting richer. It's just my home getting richer.
No, it's just
it is, but that's basically a reverse dividend.
Yeah, dude. I know people in Long Island fucking paying $14,000-15,000 a year in property taxes. In Westchester, $18,000 on property taxes, and they could have bought this house like $200,000-300,000 20-30 years ago. Yeah. Motherfuckers are paying $15,000 a year in property taxes.
Right, they're probably paying more in property taxes than they were ever paying for the mortgage.
Mm-hmm. Let me pull up a couple comments that make a lot of sense. Michael says, I used to agree with the whole tax the rich stuff until I started making money. Artist here says a wealth tax means you never own anything ever, and then he also
will be happy. And you'll be happy.
Right. And he also says, investing takes discipline, foresight, and saving the minds of nihilists, anarchists, and haters can't fathom any more than short-term lizard brain desires, which I think speaks to the point of as soon, and I think I can speak to this uniquely because I'm the youngest here, as soon as you get a little bit of ownership, your whole fucking mindset changes. Now you're like, why the fuck are we obsessed about identity politics? Why do we care about the Democrats or the Republicans? Let me just.
It's a distraction.
It's a distraction.
No, but let's go back to the earlier conversation. 99.9% of people are not concerned when they're 65 in wealth creation and wealth building. They're just not. It's just not an interesting thing to them.
What you mean?
No, so that's my thing. When you have ownership or
I'm saying kids amidst age, they're not thinking about being 65 and creating wealth and then they're not thinking about this.
Yeah. So none of my friends care about this. And so some of my friends are obsessed with all these political things. And I'm like, motherfucker, like when you're 65, it's not going to matter what AOC was doing. Like what matters is like, are you building a mindset for you to feel as if you are progressing in life? And that comes with ownership. But as soon as you get ownership of something, you think like that. If you don't have any ownership, you're always thinking of tax the risk. And I think that is the difference between the 465 people that are here and the people that are watching Netflix right now.
And you say each one of those has 10 friends, right? 465 times 10, you got 46,000 people. Say whatever it is, right?
4,600. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Middle East, South Asia, 46,000.
100 people, whatever it is. So you've got a much bigger circle of people, right? And these are the 465 out of there. And they probably, and I'm asking this again to the chat. Do you talk to your friends? Do you talk to people outside of like the community that you're on Twitter or on YouTube about investing? Do you talk to
Bro,
people
let's do an
with your
experiment
family?
right now. Let's do an experiment right now. Everyone here, you don't have to do this, but if you want to, text a friend about, hey, do you invest in the stock market, or do you know about the S&P 500? Just ask them a basic question on investing. Just see
Or
what
be like,
either
hey,
you're gonna get no response,
Hey,
or it's gonna be a bullshit response.
Yeah, or
And just
I
see what
would
they say.
I would not. So this is one of the
Chris
reasons
is like,
why
I want to keep the
people-
money
I
old.
would not.
No.
Don't tell your friends
Chris
you
is
could
talking
make
about
money.
the pleb can't come back. And now,
No, let me explain.
Don't tell
because
anybody, please. It's a secret.
I don't want.
let them
no, I
FOMO in
don't want
later.
No, I don't want people to be in a situation where I have a friend. I see them all the time, and I think a company is going to do well. I think it's going to do exceptionally well, and it doesn't do well, and they lose money. And now I have a friend. Every time I see him, throws that shit in my face.
I'm not saying tell them to buy
I spoke
saying
about
ask
this. No, I spoke. I had a conversation.
Chris, I'm sorry,
like
I'm
this
giving
on
you
Twitter.
shit.
No, not you. I'm saying I had a conversation with one of our followers, who basically Godwin, who basically said, yeah, like he told someone in 2018, like, hey, you should buy some, like he told someone, like, you should buy some Tesla. Tesla's a good company, blah, blah, blah. And Tesla went down a little bit. Guess what happened? Everyone's like, oh, look at this guy over here, fucking Mr. Stock Market over here telling me this, and I lost my money going into this company, right? And now you have a strained relationship. That's why even though I know what I'm doing, or at least I feel like I know what I'll never fucking say that to any of my friends at work, because I do not want to come to work and them coming to me and saying, hey, the market's down like 20%. What do I do? And I have to be like, oh shit, man, how do I explain this? So I know that it's one of those things that we want to get people educated to do well. But remember, not all investments work out the way we hope. And even at the best of times, our intention could be good, but the outcome could be really bad. And that could really strain relationships.
But you know what, Chris? Like there is a way to talk to people about it. That's not that doesn't put yourself on the hook. You've got to give the people the caveats. Like, hey, markets go up, markets go down. There's things at it. But if I look
if someone breaks a friendship with you because you mentioned a stock and it went down, that's not a fucking friend.
People will push bans on other people, and they won't push stocks. Like, yo, you gotta listen to this band. You gotta listen to this band.
That's a good
but
point.
They won't push a fucking.
Well, you don't lose $10,000 listening to a band.
But you also don't make any money.
That's a really good point, because the socio-dynamic culture. The socio-cultural aspect of being at work or at a party, it fucks with you. If you say someone to buy a stock, your uncle, and then it's down or whatever. I'm just saying the experiment should be, hey, text your, like, hey, do you invest in the S&P 500? And see if they say, what the fuck is the S&P 500?
Well, no, this is what I'm saying. They have to start safe. You can't be like, go buy Bitcoin.
Don't get into crypto.
I did
the same, by the way. But I'm saying, like, to start people who are not investing, like you're talking, you talk about at least invest in the S&P and let's buy VOO, buy some just quality things that you don't have to worry about. But even then, they're just not interested. They're just
know what? You know how I approach people? Most of the time I tell people when they say to me, no, I don't do anything in the stock market. I'm like, do you have a 401k? They're like, yeah. I'm like, you are in the fucking stock market.
In the fucking stock market.
You're already in the stock market. You're just not the one actually putting the money in. You're just letting someone else be a shepherd of your cash. And it's not, and you always have that as a backup. But what I tell people is I'm like, if you're going to follow like a sports team or have like a fantasy football league or whatever it is, or if you're going to follow any sort of sport,
follow a company.
This is like a sport. It's like a sport, but you can actually make
it's more fun.
To me, it is. And look, for some people, for some people, it's not. Some people don't like it. I think it's intimidating to some people. But
Chris, go ahead.
The other thing is, even with, like, let's say really good advice, like, oh, you should just buy an index fund, the S&P 500. If they had bought that in February of 2020 and they were down fucking like 20-30%, you don't know their mindset. They would have just sold and said, you fucking cost me this much money. Right. And basically,
but you worry a lot about that's not on you, dude, because you say, I fucking lost money too. The money.
No.
Carlos, he had put, baby. Chris,
Carlos, the ramifications for which you can talk about can cause resentment that can last a lifetime. I'll give you an example. One of my dad's friends told him about, oh, you should be in the stock market in the year 2000 when everything was going up. What did my dad do? He put a little bit of money in the stock market, did really well. And then guess what he did? He put fucking everything, including my college savings, in the stock market, bought every single tech company that was there, and ended up losing all the money. Okay. And I'm talking about things went to fucking zero.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
What do you do from that? What happens now is now my family went from okay, living financially independently to living in a 1-bedroom apartment for the next fucking 10 years, with me having to struggle through college and not going to like higher school, me having to go to state school. What does that do? If I see that fucking guy, I'll punch him in the face, because he only told my dad one part of the story, saying, "Oh, investing in the stock market is good," without educating my dad on the other side.
But that's the point. You have
Right.
to tell people, you have to tell people the pluses and the minuses, and you have to tell them what the risks are. And it's like
your dad also took a very poor risk. Okay.
Yeah, he went to Vegas. He went all in on red.
He's like red or black. That's what
but
he did.
Dude,
He's
but
like
that's
some guy that we know that went to Vegas and just kept
but
betting
that's
on.
but that's what everyone does. When you're uneducated, you're ill-informed, and you see this right now. Look at the companies. People are fucking buying up Carvana. People are buying up all these bullshit companies. People are buying up companies that are losing money hand over fist, thinking that, oh my God, this is what's going to turn me into a millionaire. And guess what? I hope that they end up being right. To be honest with you, I really do. Because if they're not right, what's the opposite outcome of that? Oh, you cost me
what?
X, Y,
I'll give you. I'll give
to
you
learn about the market through your losses. So it's a lesson for them.
Listen, you do, but I'll give you a
that's
backdoor.
not the best outcome, obviously.
I'll give you a backdoor reason or a ancillary reason why, even with that as a risk, it's important to educate these people, because they vote. And any one of those people can cancel out your vote, right? And if they think that people that make money are evil and are taking money from them, they're gonna vote for policies that aren't necessarily in their best interest. Right now, those poor people that don't have any money, they're being sold this idea that billionaires or millionaires are taking money from them. They're being sold this idea like UBI, right? Or taxing people's wealth is the way out of this thing. Eventually, if there's enough of them, they can vote these ridiculous policies into existence. And so, Johnny posted this a while ago. I asked you to put it up, and he was like, just screw everybody else, do you, and don't worry about anything. But like, you can only do that for so long. There comes a point where if you just ignore, eventually it's possible that it could come. It could come for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a way to have these discussions without literally giving them advice. But Chris's point is valid, because when they do trust you and you give them advice and it tanks, it's hard to have a relationship. So I don't give any of my friends stock picks at all. But when I try to talk to them about interest rates, they don't care. Except Vitaly. I tell them to buy Palantir every day. Artist here, thank you again for the $5 super chat.
You don't.
People need to learn how to hedge against tail risk. They do it with their house, their car, but not their portfolio. Yeah, that is very.
What is it? People need pull it up again.
People need to learn how to hedge against their portfolio. He's saying.
I think he's saying buy puts. Okay.
He's saying buy puts. He's saying just be more conservative and understand that stocks don't go up and down all the time. So if Chris says buy,
I think with every
hold on. Let me just say this. With an education, you have to spend some time and actually explain to them what happens in the market. It can't be just like a stock tip. It can't be like buy this because I think.
No, but I think that's Chris's point. Do you have that much time to dedicate to that?
Yes. I spend an hour a day talking about this shit with you. What do you think I do the other 23 hours?
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Listen, all day long, if someone asks me a question about this or we just discuss stocks, even while I'm working, we talk about it. And the people who listen, they do listen, but it's only like the 1% out of the 100 usually, right? That's the statistics, at least I've come across, that there always is one. Even at work right now, there's a guy who's listening all the time to everything I'm saying. He started buying Enphase, and I'm like, look, this shit, but I'm like, look, this shit can go down. And now he's seen it go down and he's still buying.
So you got him bag holding, basically.
I got him bag holding, idiot. But
he's like, what is this solar microinverter bullshit?
Amit's been creating bag holders since fucking Palantir was like 30.
No. My point is, it's actually good that it's going down because
it was actually 22. Relax.
Well, listen, it's bad when something goes up on you, because when it goes up on you, just like Chris's father, the first thing you think is that I'm a genius, and you just go crazy. Now he's learning. Now he has to learn about the company. Now he has to do some more research. Now he has to see if he wants to buy some more. So now a lot of things are happening.
How much is he down? Do you know how much he's down? Like $1,000,
it's probably not much. It's probably a couple of $1,000. Big deal. He's not like dumping hundreds of thousands into it. He's not that well. But my point is, he's one guy out of the 100 I talked to in the last couple of months that actually did something and is trying to do something better. So the point being that I'm educating him at the same time. It's not just go buy this. It's let's discuss why this could be good, or let's discuss the market. Like because a lot of these people by that I work with, they think it's just gambling. They think
So
buying stocks is like a casino.
No,
and
so
that's all it
does a lot of people I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But that's part of the education. And I think whoever you're speaking to, if whether it's one of Chris's friends who might be more affluent but scared of the markets, or somebody who's a young kid, you can always find a way to have them understand the concept that you're trying to explain. So even if you just say it's just like buying a home, your parents don't go out and sell their home the moment that it loses value. You stay in it because you recognize that it's a long-term hold, and in general, if you hold it long enough, it will gain value. I created my best performing stocks. What did they tell you to buy Enphase and Tesla?
Here. Chris, go ahead.
Anyway, you got my point.
No, I get your point. 100%.
You give them the education based on the level that they're at. You don't start talking to them about spreads and call options.
Yeah, you never go that
out of the gate, because that does seem like gambling.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? I think the difference between Vegas style gambling, where you go in there, and stock market gambling is you're able to actually have a house edge because you have information, you have access to information about things. Whereas in Vegas, you're literally just trying to play the odds and playing risk, right? Which is fine, that you can still theoretically make some money like that. But think of going to Vegas and the stock market kind of like poker, where if you know what you're doing in poker, you can actually make money because there is no house edge. You're just playing against the other guy, right? And that's what the stock market is. You're just playing against the other guy because they think it's more valuable or they think it's less valuable. And then you make your bet on your side, thinking that, hey, I think this company is more valuable or less valuable. And so that's the key for every company that you guys bought, someone sold, right? The shares were sold by somebody, whether it was an industry, whether it was an insider, or whether it was a hedge fund owner, whether it was another retail investor. So when you're betting not against the house, but you're betting against each other. And I think the key is the person that has more knowledge and better risk appetite and better risk control will be able to actually outcompete everyone else. The question is, not everyone has that time, effort, and energy to do it. That's why they turn into guys like us who try to put out a case out there saying, hey, I think this company is going to do X, Y, and Z because of this reason. Do what you will with that information. I have the time to sit there and research this thing. You may not. You may want to just focus on other things. And so when you come to us, that's what you get. You get our opinion. And sometimes our opinions are right. Like if you bought Meta, or if you bought SMCI, or if you bought Weight Watchers, or if you bought, all right, I'm going to stop.
Duolingo, or if you bought this, or you bought
so that's the point. So I think what it is when you have people like that, you tune into them, you listen to them, and they give you good advice, that could really help. Like for me, I follow the All In podcast. I watch the Compound. I have a few books that I have specifically with investors who've made money and what the reasoning why they invest the way they do and apply those same concepts to companies that I look at. And it's been successful for me, So this is one of those things that if you put in some time, or if you're smart enough, you follow the right people, you'll actually make some good money.
All right, can we wrap this up, guys?
That's it. This is a great pod. I think people enjoyed it. Thank you for.
How did we even get on that topic?
We went from inflation is coming down to housing to this. Like we always go on so many.
I think
Microsoft leading us to AOC.
No, but could you imagine if we got drunk?
Oh, no.
Bro, we got to do a stream one day when we're drunk. We got to do it.
No,
please
man,
like the stream. Twitters are in the description.
Yeah, guys, hit like, subscribe.
Make sure you follow us. Congrats, Chris, on following.
Can you post Freelancer Finance Discord?
It's in there. I
mean,
someone just asked. I saw somebody ask.
I'm still waiting for the video about dividends. We'll talk about dividends probably tomorrow. We'll do a little.
You know who you should, if you really like dividends. I saw a great
I'll
video
admit today I sold my my TFC. Got rid of it.
You did? You mean the spread?
No.
You sold the spread?
The spread. I sold the shares because I'm actually going heavier on Enphase. That's
keeping the spread is good, but the shares, whatever.
The spread I'll keep.
What was it at today? What was it at today?
I don't know, a couple of bucks.
512. The
spread was up nicely today.
The spread was up. I'm talking about the stock price was like 32 something.
Yeah, 32.
Okay, yeah, still not much. It was like I don't know when you guys bought it. I was buying at 29, so it's not.
Yeah,
we got the spread a little cheaper than that.
The person that you want to, if you want to get into dividends, the best person that I could think to get in is, what's his name? It's two people, Stephen Fiorello, who's dividend investing, and number two is Matt Money. Matt Money, finally, he crossed, I think, 10K followers, but he did a really great video today on how he's built a portfolio where he literally generates $100 a day passively,
Nice.
which is fucking awesome because
that is great.
that is
3,000 a month is amazing.
That is what gives you financial freedom, dude. Where literally every day you wake up, you got $100 to just blow on whatever you want outside of going to work.
That's
right?
legit, bro. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
All right,
cool.
guys.
Yeah.
All right. Follow Matt. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 p.m. Thank you, everybody. This is a good one. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Later.
Bye.